In this video, I'm going to show you how you can escape the daily grind by investing in property, just like I did. I'm also going to show you how you can actually do it in 18 months. So if you're 28 or younger, you can actually achieve this before you're 30. Anyone can do this as long as you earn an income, because you'll need to qualify for a buy-to-let mortgage and also have the ability to save up for a deposit. And did you know that when it comes to buy-to-let mortgages, your income isn't actually that important? What's more important is the amount of rent that the property will be able to rent for. I've been a property investor since I was 23 and was fortunate enough to build up a £1 million property portfolio by the time I was 28. And I've bought properties in the UK, Australia and the US using traditional methods and also creative strategies to be able to buy and control property. The property market has changed from being red hot to where it's more balanced now, and in certain areas you'll find that house prices are even falling. This change in the housing market also brings with it opportunity to negotiate even better deals if you know the right type of property to look for. £380,000, it's an end of terrace 3-bed. 350 is the budget that I would have for that property. Is it worth me coming and having a look at it?
I think it is, to be honest. I think they are sort of testing the market.
Interest rates have been going up like crazy over the last 18 or so months, but rents have also been keeping a pace with the interest rates. To show you how you can go from zero to quitting your job in 18 months, I'm going to be sharing with you a 5-step roadmap, starting with your current money habits, getting the deposit together, the right type of property to buy, how to manufacture your profits in 18 months, and then kissing your boss goodbye. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. So to begin the journey, you've got two choices. Choice number one, you can either stay where you are in your comfort zone, working every day, spending what you make, working paycheck to paycheck, or you can choose to save a fixed amount of your income and invest it. Okay, you went with option two, let's carry on. My preferred investing vehicle is property because you can make money from it in 3 ways. Through rental income, by renting to tenants because people need a place to live. Through capital appreciation, house prices generally increase over time the longer you hold on to them. By manufacturing growth, adding more in perceived value than it actually costs you. The objective with investing in property is to generate another income stream that will actually replace your current living expenses. So note this down. This is action point number 1. Go and work out your current living expenses. So what you need to do is go and log on to your online banking, go and check all your expenses that are coming out each month. So look at a typical month and go and look at your statement or all the transactions for the last month and see what's been going out. Also, go and look at your credit card statement and see what you're putting on that each month. And dare I say, hopefully it's just one credit card, not multiple credit cards. So let's say that your living expenses are £2,000 per month. So this means that you need to generate through property £2,000 in additional income, and then you're financially free. That £2,000 through property will be able to pay your current living expenses of £2,000, which will then determine that you're financially free and you can choose what you want to do. You can then potentially quit your job if you're generating that amount of money through property. But there may be an opportunity for you to actually cut down some of those living expenses. What you should do is work out which of those expenses are musts that you need to have just to survive or to give you a decent lifestyle, and which of those expenses are kind of maybes. They're nice to have. Do you really need to have 5 takeouts every week? Or it could be, do you need all these other subscriptions that you are getting, or is there stuff in there that you pay for that you don't use? Give them the flick. You know, so this is a real opportunity for you actually to go through your expenses and work out which of those are musts and which of those are maybes. Let's kick them to the curb. But before you can move on to saving money, you need to destroy any consumer debt that you have and wipe it out totally. So let's say that you've got 1 or 2 credit cards that you've got debt hanging around that you're not paying off totally at the end of the month. So pick the one credit card that has the lowest amount of money to be paid off on it first, because you want to create some momentum and create a win and see that you're doing something productive. Doesn't matter what APR you're paying on either of them at this stage. What we want to do is start creating some early momentum and getting that opportunity that you can tick it off and you've done it. So take the lowest amount and start putting a set amount of money aside that you're going to destroy that debt with. So let's say it's £500 that you can afford after your living expenses, you worked out your musts and maybes, you've got a certain amount of money left over, you can whack off 500 on that one card and you're paying just the minimum on the other one. So you whack that off till it's all gone, and then you move to the next one, and then you take that amount of money plus the minimum that you're paying to that one and whack it all off the second one, and then you keep paying that off till that's all gone. Then ultimately you've destroyed the debt, and now you can start to save that same amount of money into a separate account, not the same account that you normally use for everyday banking. You need to create another account somewhere else that you can't see it, and that is then going to be out of sight, out of mind. You create an automated payment from your existing account. When the day that the money goes in from, say, your salary, same day you whack it across to this savings account now after you've paid off all the consumer debt. That becomes your ability to then save for a deposit over time, and you use the same amount of money and you keep your living expenses to the same amount. You don't improve them because you've got extra cash available. This then snowballs your ability to save. If you can save more than what you were paying off in the consumer debt because you are more keen to invest now, add some more money onto it. If you get a salary increase, add some more money into paying into your investing pot. With this money now saved up, you're armed and ready to invest it. The fun part is investing your money and watching it grow. When it comes to investing your hard-earned money, you want to be making the highest amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of risk and the least amount of aggravation. When it comes to property, you want to be buying properties that are positive cash flow. And how to work out positive cash flow properties is that you calculate the income, you calculate all the expenses, and that after all the expenses are taken away from the income, there should be some money left over. And therefore, this amount of money becomes another income stream because it's positive. It's putting money in your bank every month. And therefore, if you generate enough of this, it has the potential to replace your earned salary, which then pays your living expenses at the moment every day. So we said we had £2,000 living expenses before and we were paying down some debt. Let's say that we paid off £500 of our living expenses of consumer debt. So now we've eroded our living expenses from £2,000 down to £1,500 per month. So happy days. We now need just £1,500 per month through rental income to be able to become financially independent and escape the daily grind. So you've got some money saved up. You now need to work out what's your maximum purchase price to be able to go and buy a property. So let's say you've managed to claw together £60,000. And you've done this not just by saving, you've done this by selling cars, by selling assets that you no longer want anymore, any possessions. You know, you've actually cut stuff out. You're getting a bit of a minimalist life going. You're only using or keeping the stuff that you actually want. You actually decided to delay a bit of gratification because investing is your priority. Escaping the grind is your priority. This is what you want to do. It's all encompassing. This is your single focus. So you've now clawed together £60,000. We divide that by 25% because the buy-to-let mortgage that we can get is 75%. That means our deposit needs to be 25%. That gives us our maximum purchase price of £240,000. But when it comes to buying property, we've got some additional costs. We need to think about stamp duty, we need to think about legal fees and any other settlement costs that are associated with that. So we're going to put aside £8,000 for those. So that then reduces our available deposit down to £52,000, which then changes our maximum purchase price of around £210,000 now. So we'll be going out there looking at properties up to a maximum purchase price of £210,000 based on our deposit amount of £52,000, leaving aside £8,000 for completion costs. So it's important to decide which area you want to invest in, because picking an area is not just something you want to be blasé about. It's also to determine where you live and how far you want to travel to get to your investment property. Not always about whether you're going to manage it, but also if you're going to be doing anything, like you're going to need to get access to the property, which you'll find about later on in this video why it's important that we don't necessarily live too far away from our investment property. We would be looking at areas that maybe you say, okay, I'm prepared to drive an hour away from home, or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, but work that out, it's important. The next step is also we want to be looking at, okay, where can we generate the highest yield? Now, yield is the amount of return on investment you can get as a gross percentage. And so yield is just calculated by looking at the amount of rental income it generates, dividing that by the purchase price, and that gives us our yield as a percentage. One of the tools that I look at is called Property Data. I use this software. It's a small subscription. If you're interested in it, there'll be a link below in the description so you can get access to it. It's a small amount of money. I think I pay, 20 quid or something like that a month for it. And it gives me the ability to quickly analyze deals and see hotspots, analyze property data, and really deep dive into plot maps if I want to as well. But what we're looking at here is just rental yields, and we can easily quickly see which postcodes give us the right yield and therefore dictate which areas we should be focusing our efforts on, and seeing if that's a distance that we feel comfortable with going for, even if it's a short amount of time for 6 months of the year. And then we don't need to worry about it. And I'll tell you later in the video why 6 months of the year is an important time frame. So based on an 8% yield, we've got 210 grand as our purchase price. That would generate us £16,800 per year, which equates to £1,400 per month. Now, to buy this property at £210,000, we'd be needing to get a buy-to-let mortgage, and that's going to be 75% of that value, which is going to give us £157,500. The interest rate on mortgages at the moment are around 6%, unfortunately. You might be able to do better, but I'm just giving you a kind of an average overall view right now at the time of recording. So when a buy-to-let mortgage, we'd be just getting an interest-only mortgage. That's going to cost us £790 per month. So we've got £610 left over after we take away our mortgage payment from our rental income, and then with the 15% maintenance, repairs, vacancy, property management, we've then got a further £210 reduced from our income, which leaves us with £400 overall as a positive cash flow. Now, instead of buying a vanilla buy-to-let and getting that outcome that I've just described, we're going to be doing something slightly different from the norm. What we're going to be looking for is renovators' delights. These are problem properties that actually need fixing up. They need a bit of work doing to them. And they're properties that the general average person may turn their nose up at because there's problems with them. They might have mold, damp, they might have the odd things that look bad to people. They might have cracks in them or whatever, but they're just superficial cracks. They're tired. Basically, they haven't been updated for decades. They're the types of properties that you see pound signs to. They're opportunities. These types of properties, you're able to grow your wealth faster than simply waiting for the market to appreciate over time. And the good thing about these properties is that you can actually go and negotiate on them and go and buy them below market value because no one else wants to buy them. They're in a state of disrepair. Normal homeowners are looking at these and seeing too much work. They don't want to buy them. And this approach is exactly what I did with my very first property that I bought. And I bought this for 65 grand, did some minor cosmetic refurb to it, and then it was revalued up at £105,000. And I also then went on and bought my second property with the same formula, but this time I did some major refurbishment work to it. I did the entire place, top to bottom. This was a larger property and I spent £167,500 on it, and it was revalued up at £235,000. And I spent £10,000 on refurbishing that property top to bottom. But this was quite a few years ago now, so that £10,000 is probably more like £15,000 or so today. But at the end of the day, I picked a builder that was working in that block where the property was. He just put his team in there. He was able to do the work in about 4 to 6 weeks' time. So yeah, you need some money to do the refurbishment works. I had some additional savings saved up in my case to be able to have that 10 grand to do the refurb works. In your case, if you spent it all on buying the property, you need to then go and borrow some more money to be able to do the refurb works. So there's various ways that you can do this. You can go and get a personal loan. You can get loans up to 25 grand at reasonable rates. You can also go and get a bridging loan that will give you the money for for doing exactly that, a refurbishment, and then you exit out on a refinance. Or you can go and borrow money from the bank and mum and dad who will help you on your way with your refurbishment, or friends and family or other relatives that may want to encourage you with your investing and help you out. Or it could be that you find a money partner, another investor that wants to learn what you're doing or see what you're doing, and you say, look, give me this amount of money, I'll give you a fixed amount back. There's lots of different ways that you could be creative about borrowing some money, and with the view that you'll be paying it back after a short period of time, as long as you actually make sure you do. But the simplest way is probably just going to get a personal loan for a 12-month period, and you aim to pay that off earlier. The key point with refurbishing a property is to go and refurb that property with the right ideal target tenant in mind. You don't do it to a standard that you want to be able to live there in. That makes no economic sense potentially. You want to find out the target market for that area, the target market specifically for that property, and refurb the property to the target market. So find out what that is. Go and look at other comparable properties. What is the rent that's being achieved for those types of properties? What's the standard of finish? Do yours to a minimum, to that level of standard of finish to achieve that amount of rent. Talk to letting agents about the market rent that is being achieved, what could be achieved with your property based on that kind of level of finish. If you fancy someone that can actually do a lot of DIY, you might be able to do a lot of the work yourself and save a lot of money on the refurbishment costs. Otherwise, you'll just have to hire trades or hire a builder, just like I've done in the past. This way, once you've finished your refurbishment, your ideal target tenant is going to look at your property and they're going to fall in love with it. It meets their standard, it's newly refurbished, you're going to be able to achieve the maximum amount of rent for that type of property in that area because it's new, it's refurbished to a great standard, it's got all the inclusions that that target tenant wants. After the refurbishment is completed, you can then refinance the property. By refinance the property, what you do is go and look for another buy-to-let mortgage that enables you to pay off the existing buy-to-let mortgage. So it's important with the first one, you don't lock in a fixed rate deal or anything like that because you have early repayment issues. You want to make sure you just got no repayment penalties if you pay it off early. So there's different ones that will give you that capability. So now you're going to be looking for a longer term buy-to-let mortgage that will be maybe a fixed rate, if you want fixed rates, whatever. You then go and get the property refinanced into a new buy-to-let mortgage. And what's important is that you give the valuer a lot of information that will enable them to see that now the price has increased from what you bought it for to this new value that you think it should appraise at. And you can show them all the work that you've done to the property, before pictures, after pictures, the cost of works that you've had done. The refinance will then give you some cash back because what the refinance will do will pay off the mortgage and also give you some additional cash that's extra left over that essentially was your deposit and the equity that you've manufactured in that property through doing that refurb. So you'll get some cash back out. Ideally, it's the same amount of cash that you put in, and what's just left in the property is the equity that you've manufactured through the refurbishment. It may not give you everything, you may have to leave some money in there, but swings and roundabouts, just depends what the property valuer values of the property at and how well you bought the property to begin with at the price that you paid for it. So let's go through some of the numbers. So the purchase price was £210,000. Let's say you spent £20,000 on a refurbishment. My refurb formula is 140% with a buy-to-let mortgage. So it should value up close to £294,000. Otherwise, I wouldn't be buying it at £210,000. So then we refinance it at 75% on the £294,000, which gives us £220,500, which pays off the old mortgage of £157,500 and also gives us cash back of £63,000. But likewise, the new loan repayment is going to be going up, but we should also be able to generate still an 8% yield with that property in that area based on the new price that the property is achieved. So our rental income with a refurbished property is going to generate 8% yield on £294,000. Valuation will be £2,000 per month. And all of these things we would be checking before we buy the property, otherwise we wouldn't be buying it. Therefore, our new mortgage is going to be £1,155. Plus £300 for our 15% maintenance, repairs, vacancy, and if we use a property manager, it's up to you or not, you can save some money if you don't do that, do it yourself, gives us £1,455, We take that away from the 2,000, which gives us £555 per month as a positive cash flow amount. So we've got one property there that's generating us £555 per month. So our objective now is to go and do it again. We had 63 grand come out cash back. We've also got refurbishment of 20 grand that we've got to pay back. So we can either pay off our personal loan of 20 grand or we can still keep it going. We did a 12-month personal loan maybe. We've spent 6 months' time so far. We've done one property. We've still got another 6 months up our sleeve before we will be paying all of that personal loan off. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. So at the end of the day, we've got 63 grand available to us, or we can say we've got 43. But ultimately, you can go and repeat this process and keep doing it over and over again every 6 months. So therefore, after 18 months, you've generated £1,555. Your objective now is to go and find these types of properties and refurbish those properties and do it every 6 months with achieving the same outcome that we did with the first property. And therefore, you'll be generating yourself with each property that you do £555 per month in additional income stream. So as you go through this, you're developing your property refurbishment methodology. You'd be also using and improving your systems and processes around refurbishing a property and really becoming an area expert, knowing exactly what the market wants, demands, building up relationships with letting agents, estate agents, and being maybe first to the market with those types of deals. People will see you, the local agency in the market will see that you're a player, you're walking the talk, you're actually buying properties, making offers, and therefore they'll be starting to bring properties to you. You may even be able to start getting first dibs on properties and getting the call to say this property's hitting the market tomorrow, do you want to come around and look at it? So generating £555 per month for each property, after 3 properties, you've generated enough income to potentially kiss your boss goodbye because you've covered your living expenses of £1,500. You'll be generating £1,665 per month from these properties. So therefore, after 18 months, you can actually choose what you want to do. You can escape the daily grind, kiss your boss goodbye, or you can keep carrying on with doing what you're doing and building up an additional income stream and building up your profitable property portfolio. So on with this information, you've only now got one problem. How do you go and buy your first investment property? And that's why I've done this video for you. So please go and watch that now. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.